Hello, season's greetings to you all, and welcome to the regular Tuesday edition of Spurs Diehards TTID Tottenham Till I Die. Tonight we'll be covering the Southampton game, and we'll do a preview of Spurs Man United this Thursday. Right, straight into it. I don't do long intros, so we'll introduce our guest. Jack, how are you?
I should take a page out of your book, Adrian. I do long intros. Doing okay.
Okay. And Brad, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, Adrian, and hello everybody, and season's greetings to everyone watching. I've actually got my my Christmas top on.
Oh, so, right, yeah.
Some of you may recognise from somewhere.
Rocking the And Mark, how are you?
Very well. I was just about to ask, is that Wizard Slade?
No, it's Father Christmas.
Well, I know it's Father Christmas, but it sort of reminds me of Wizard and Slade.
Yeah, no, I mean, he, it's just a top I bought of Amazon. Like, look for Christmas guitar tops, and it's one of them. So,
right, I'll move down to the banners. Southampton versus Spurs. I'm sure every Spurs fan out there was confident we were going to thrash them, yeah. and nerves were quickly settled, weren't they? But here's the team, Jack. Your take on the team when you saw it?
Yes, I was in the middle of my trip back from Philadelphia, or kind of outskirts of Philadelphia, to the airport. And when I saw the team, I was relieved to see that Spence was finally given an opportunity. I think, further, sort of, impressed the fact that he took his opportunity so quickly within 30 seconds of the game. How magical was that? But for the most part, I thought this team was really cool and really interesting. Bergvall in the team as well was a bit of a surprise. I'm not sure which one was more of a surprise between Spence and Bergvall, but I was really relieved to see them both. I'm more of a fan of Maddison in the team than Brennan Johnson. It seems like that's been a decision he's had to make, whether he has to go with Maddison or Johnson. And I prefer Maddison in the team. And I was pretty happy with this team for the most part. It was just exciting. Actually kind of got me interested because the recent teams, it feels like he hasn't made too many changes despite maybe all the injuries.
Brad, your take on the team? Was you
mirroring really what Jack said. I thought it looked very attacking when I first saw it. I was glad that Spence was playing, although to be fair, he didn't. I don't think Postecoglou really had a choice with the games that we've got coming up. But I think that's really, really good. I thought Bergvall and Maddison in the same team together was interesting. I always assumed that Bergvall will be like for like with Maddison, but he's playing as a number 6 and doing very, very well. Spence, we all probably know, but 881 games or days, was it 881 days before he made his Spurs Premier League debut. But no, I thought it was a very attacking side. I actually just felt a little bit sorry for Spence that he's had his first start as right back and then Udogie went off and he had to go over to the left. But I thought he had a really, really, really good game. But I'm sure.
Yeah, well, we'll get into all the players one by one and the goal scorers. Mark, your take on the team?
Yeah, it was all right. Yeah, it was, apart from Spence and Bergvall starting, it was sort of all we got, really, wasn't it? No, there's not a lot else to sort of, you couldn't really take any of them out, could you, and put somebody else in? Not really.
Right. Have we got anyone in the chat, Mark? You want to do
it? We have. Graham's here. He's now 20. Yes, he's now 21 points ahead of me in the online predictions. not that I'm better or anything. We just get that in it. Peter's here.
Yeah. Well, Peter's a regular friend.
I am as well.
Yeah. Time check from Melbourne. He must have nearly finished or just finishing. Lisa's here.
Lisa, big up. Season
yes. Good evening. Always here. Chris is here.
Mod Chris.
Hello. Yes.
Hope to see you at a game soon, Chris. We haven't met up before.
And everyone else is just saying hello to each other.
Right. We'll go through the subs because I'm sure those that are watching on playback and some of the channel won't even know what some of these players are. But as I sort of always go for stats and information, I've watched some of these play. Austin, people should know, is a goalkeeper. Alfred Dorrington, he's a centre-back, left-sided centre-back. Prefers his right foot, but he is 6'3", right? He's no slouch, right? And Phillips on in the side is 6'4", right? And they're units. Mason King, left back. I'll be honest, I haven't seen him play, right? Because I think he's come through the 18s into the under 21s. Malachi Hardy, another one, centre back. I haven't seen him play. Callum Alusasi, I have seen him in play, central attacking midfielder. Not much. He looks a prospect, but at that level, who knows? Who knows how these players are going to turn out? Werner, he's one for the future.
Hey, what?
Johnson and Will Lancashire. If you don't know, he scored 23 league goals in 22 games last year when the under 21s cleaned up with the league and the cups, and he got over 30 goals with his cup contributions. So so that's just the subs. We move on into the game. Jack, 38 seconds. What was Spence doing winning that ball and ploughing his way forward to put that sublime pass through to Maddison? Perfectly hit with the outside of the foot. And bang, 1-0. What's going on?
I actually really applaud Spence for doing something that maybe would go against what most players would do, which is actually trying to make an impact within the first minute, first seconds, basically first touches of the ball. When someone who, like Brad brought up, hasn't basically played at all for a team and hasn't, their first ever Premier League start in 2 whole seasons, you would think you would want to probably get your first touches in, maybe play a little bit safe, just look to complete a few passes. You don't want to stick out like a sore thumb. You probably don't want to even try to make a mistake of any kind inside that first 10 minutes or so. So you might play it a bit safe. Sort of does the opposite. He receives the ball with his back to goal, with his back to the defender at the halfway line, or maybe even deeper than that, and then ends up just sort of twisting around him and just sort of powering past multiple players, and plays one of the best through balls we've seen of any player this season. Gorgeous outside the boot, really well weighted, and great finish from Maddison, to be fair. Actually, I think it was between the keeper's legs, and it's actually one of the better goals I think from this season. I think we scored some good goals, but I think that one is just kind of simple, just really great individual effort from Jed Spence, and like I said, also just a lovely run from Maddison and good finish from him. But that's what I'm impressed by. Someone who, let's say, wants to make a good impression, but normally when someone does that, they might want to just play it safe. He kind of just does the opposite. He's etching to go. He just wants to make an impact straight away. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, Brad, Maddison, that's a sign of a really good player's technique, when he can take the ball in its stride and just hit it first time,
Well, I remember Maddison doing this a lot for Leicester, especially against us. And we haven't really seen it that much at Tottenham, but if he can produce that sort of goal and that sort of because that's what we've been missing. We used to have goal-scoring midfielders with Eriksson and Dele Alli, but we seem to be missing that a bit at the moment. But I think Maddison could go on to be one of those goal-scoring midfielders. And what Jack was saying about Spence, if it was me, I'd have got that first ball and made the safest pass possible, not to make any mistakes. But if you watch that goal from the kickoff, I think it's a 12-pass move, and Southampton don't touch the ball apart from when they took it out of the back of the net. But it's brilliant, and a total surprise. I guess like most people, the game starts off and you looking at your phone, and I get started now, and hang on a minute, we scored. It was one of those great moments. So
it was a game of 2 halves, which we'll get into, but also, Brad, I forgot. I've lost my thread. Maddison. No one was going to say. Maddison, because it was a game of 2 halves, he was playing more central and he looked eager to get forward at every opportunity. He looked like he wanted to be forward, which is where we want him. We don't want him. We want him as an attacking 8, at worst 10. He doesn't have to play off the main striker. But and that I thought he looked eager, didn't he? He just looked eager, as if he had something to prove.
Yeah, before I came on, I was watching. I think the club have put out Sonny's 120 assists or 80 odd assists or what it is.
Yeah,
and it's actually really, you notice how many goals Eriksson and Dele Alli score from the midfield, from balls put through by Son and that. And I think that's something that's been missing. Not, sometimes we do get it, but it's been missing from a lot of games. And I think once you get that, let's face it, the way Ange plays football, the way we play football under Ange, we've got to win by basically battering teams. We're not going to sit on a 1-goal lead. We've just got to keep on the front foot for as much as we possibly can. And it's certainly I was worried before the game. I thought Dr. Tottenham, you know what we're like.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, to be 3 up in 15 minutes, it was like, wow, yeah, okay. That should be the 3 points now, So
yeah, I predicted a 2-1 Spurs win. What do I know? Like, Mark, your take on Spence's performance. We are going to go for other players, but
brilliant. He was. Well, let's face it. If Porro was playing, and he'd got that ball, you just knocked it back to Forster, wouldn't he? There's no way he would have spun like that and burst up the pitch and put a ball in like that for Matters. But he was brilliant. He was brilliant, and like I did feel sorry for him because he was just getting into the game and he shifted, but he did just as well on the other side. If you want my opinion, I mean, to be honest, why he hasn't seen more minutes is beyond me. Has he been injured? I don't know.
Yes, he's had a grind.
All right. Yeah.
And we don't really know whether he was fit a week ago, 2 weeks ago, or whether he's only just come back. We don't know because Ange's quite coy in his press conferences. When he ain't saying what he shouldn't say, he's quite coy in his press conference with injuries. There's lots of times we thought players would be out. I mean, we didn't know that, VDV and Romero would play that other game a week or so ago. We thought they're out for a lot longer. So I'm not against that. So don't show your hand. Yeah.
No.
Spence, I agree with he vied for man of the match with Madison.
Yeah. I'd give it to Spence just because he hasn't played for so long.
And I actually think good man management if they weren't taking a risk with you, Doggy.
Yeah.
Because every time we push players, Go on, Brad. Say something.
Yeah, he said that. He said Doggy said he wanted to play on, but he said, well, we can't really afford to do that the way we are at the moment. So I think that's fair enough. But Spence seems to be able to play on the left. I think he's certainly attacking wise. I think he's a very talented player. He's got the skill. Yeah. He's got the pace. He's got the strength because he's quite tall. I can't really comment on how he is defensively, but that's the way Tottenham play. We don't really have defensive fullbacks. So but I thought it was, I feel pleased for him as well because he's not had the best of runs from all managers from going back to from Conte. And he signed a new contract. Let's face it, at the start of the season, they were talking about him being sold, weren't they? So, I feel really good for the guy, and I just hope he goes from strength to strength.
Jack, well, we have seen a performance in Spence now. I mean, we can get overexcited like we have done with players in the past, but I mean, like we want to see more of this, don't we? He doesn't have to be as brilliant as he is, but I mean, he was like an 8 or 9 out of 10, wasn't he? I mean, but if you can throw in consistent 7s, that'll do. I mean, like that will do as what he is, a defender. Let's not forget that. It's supposed to be.
I mean, I don't think it will take too much, for him to keep his spot or at least make Ange, have to consider him because Pedro Porro looks really tired. He looks gassed, but also he just hasn't been playing well. I think the biggest thing with Porro for me is I think we always knew that maybe every now and again he'd have some sketchy moments defensively. I think he still has some improvement there, but it was more like in possession, like Pedro Porro started to look pretty sloppy, just giving away possession, just kind of, aimless balls over the top that were kind of to nobody really that you could see, crosses that were mishit or misplaced, just kind of giving the ball away and not really being as tidy or as technically gifted as we know he can be in possession. And I think just what Spence needs to do is basically just look solid defensively for the most part and then see if he can make a contribution in the creative, side of things every now and again. But I don't think it would take very much. I think you're right, Adrian. Just 7 out of 10s will force Ange to have to make difficult decisions about whether he wants to play Pedro or play Jet Spence or give Destiny a rest and, allow Jet Spence to play. I mean, he has opportunities on the left or the right.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I think if we can get some left-sided cover, some left-back cover in the window, then you can rotate Spence and Porro. We don't have to worry about
exactly.
Players doing well like Graham Bergveld. Suddenly the stock of the squad goes up, doesn't it? Whereas before it's being condemned. Hang them, string them up.
I'm just going to flick through the chat, Adrian.
Yeah, do that now.
Peter's finished.
Finished work, probably.
Yeah.
Coffee for the win, guys.
Yeah, Chris. Yeah, he did come on, but only I was a bit disappointed that when we were 5-0 up at half time, some of the youngsters didn't get 45 minutes.
Yeah.
To be honest, that's the only thing
all the way early, Chris. I like this player. I've seen a lot of him. I like him. Is he good enough to make the full step up? What, like Spence? End of the season, we may know or not. I think we've got.
Yeah, it's wait and see, isn't it? Yeah, Scott. Another regular. Good evening, sir. Audio's here as well. Another regular. Good evening. Yes, and Eugene. Big up, sir.
Hey, Eugene.
Yeah, Brad. And suddenly, like on 12 minutes, goal 2. We're just getting over the first goal, thinking like we're going to hang on to this lead. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, that's good. They've got to score 2 now, you know. But then we go and bang. Madison assist as well.
Well, I mean, it was a good ball, though. The Southampton player did make a bit of a mess of it in defence. But that sort of Son, I think Son, when he does that without thinking, I think he's a far better player. And that ball came well. And we're all watching TV. We're all saying hit it, and he did. And suddenly we're 2 goals up. And I felt good for Son actually because he's had a bit of a sort of not a poor run, but he hasn't been. I still want to see him get onto his right foot and curl it into that top corner. That's what I want to. That is an archetypal Son goal, but it's good to see him do that. And I think he did do that in the match, didn't he? I think the keeper tipped it over from memory. But
1 over, and he had a powder puff shot straight at the goalkeeper.
Yeah,
which was very unlike him, right?
Yeah.
And like Jack, I thought Son. I thought this was Sonny, not at his very, very best, but he was good. You know, which will quell the doubters a bit. Yeah, he was good throughout this game.
I think he was really good. I think he was more brilliant in that outside the football that he played to Madison that I think eventually led to that really great finish from Madison. I mean, that pass was brilliant. But the second goal, I mean, the thing I take from it is it's actually a pretty fortunate goal, you know, that ends up following his direction. I think Bednarek ends up getting like a head onto Madison's cross, sort of flicks it onto Son. I think Kyle Walker-Peters lets it bounce, right? And then Sonny just sort of hits it first time. And to be honest, I don't even think he hits it that well. I think it probably could have been saved by a better keeper. But Sonny kind of needed a version of what I said to Dave just earlier this morning. I was saying to him, he kind of needed a version of a goal off your backside because he just hadn't really put away a lot of chances recently. And they've been big chances that had he put them away in some of these recent games, we might have won or gotten something out of it. Momentum could have been very different. He's been pretty wasteful. So the fact that he put that away, you know, maybe, like I said, got a little bit fortunate from just the flicked on header from Bednarek, but then also maybe the goalkeeping not being that great there. And probably just breeds confidence into him. When you're a guy like that, you need to get maybe a lucky goal every now and again to sort of remind yourself that, you know, you are capable and, you know, give yourself that confidence to score more. So that's what I took from it.
I think the Madison cross, I think if you put a crossing like that and it's not pinpoint accurate, you want it to make the defenders panic. And that's what I think happened. The ball came over and it's like, wow, how do we deal with this? And they didn't deal with it and we got the goal. So yeah, it was, we got a little bit of luck, but we made our luck by putting that ball in like he did.
Dave made the point, actually, Brad, that we don't even do that enough, actually, that cross that Madison plays, it's not even that great of a cross, but the fact that you force them to deal with it, all of a sudden they make a mistake.
Yeah, it's like our corners.
I'm looking for Bergvall to do that because I've watched videos of him. He's got a good long ball on him, Bergvall. He's got a good sort of playing with 6 hybrid 8 at the moment, a bit of both. Son Mark, I mean, he had a spring back in his step. He seemed to like. He
did, but you know, I love Son. Always have done. He's been like a great servant for the club. But let's face it, his time is coming to the end. You know, whatever we think, like time catches up with everybody. You know, yes, he played well, and he did have that spring in his step. But let's face it, Southampton are pants. I mean, I'm not being funny. But like they are, aren't they? You know, I mean.
Yeah. Well, we know they're a poor side. That's where.
Yeah, I mean.
Liverpool struggle to beat them. I don't know.
No. Well, any team can turn up on the day, but against us, they were absolutely hopeless. Every time we went forward, it looked like we were going to score, especially in the first 20 minutes. Well, every time we did go forward, we scored.
I think it's easy to get into this thing of I'm not saying that you do it, Mark, but I've seen people that if we'd have beaten Southampton 1-0 or 2-0,
Yeah.
they're probably saying, "Oh, they're so rubbish. Why didn't we thump them 4 or 5?
Yeah.
5-0. Oh, well, of course we beat them 5-0. They're garbage. So
Yeah.
we have to be a little bit careful. But I know what you mean. It was.
Yeah.
We have to put a caveat in there that.
I mean, their defense was a shambles.
It was. It's worse than ours.
I was going to say, and we always moan about ours. Like their defense was an absolute shout. I honestly couldn't believe. Well, as Adrian knows, definitely, I've just got new glasses that I got to wear all the time. and at the start of the game, I said I wasn't going to wear them. And so if it looked blurry, it might look half sensible. But when the first goal went in, I decided to put them on, and
Anyone in the chat, Mark? Before we move on to the next band?
a couple. Alex Scott, he's always in here. Madison needs to join the team with ambition because Spurs are rubbish. Well, we weren't rubbish the other night, but we'll see with the upcoming games.
Right.
And audio. Sonny, back to Bayern. But that's the thing you've got to praise Sonny for, is he's been so loyal with literally winning absolutely nothing.
Jack,
Kane went to win something and didn't win anything, did he? So
no, but there is that, and the Queen's in the chat.
Big up, Ellie. Hope you're well.
I hope you're well, Miss Ellie.
Season's greeting to you and your family, Ellie.
Yeah, happy Christmas, Ellie.
Jack, we're all excited. Still applauding the second goal, and 2 minutes later, on 14 minutes, Son assists Kulusevski.
Yeah, and it's one of those goals where you kind of then sort of kicked up your feet. I actually was starting to have to take over some driving responsibility. So this is one of my, maybe my recollection of the game starts to fade a little bit more. But I watched it go in, and it was kind of the moment where if I were with Dave on the watch along or, at the pub, you sort of, I don't know, maybe that tension in your shoulders kind of relaxes a little bit. You're kind of like, the game's over now.
It's called Spursitis, Jake.
I don't know. Maybe it was that feeling of like this Southampton team, they look beaten. Like they do not look like they're going to make any sort of effort to come back. Because it was just the way that like Bednarek actually, I think, does really well to get in front of Solanke, puts on that brilliant tackle. And then it ends up just sort of falling to Kulusevski. And the goalkeeper, I think, ends up cheating, diving the other way, and it's just an open net that Kulusevski probably could have walked in. He actually was kind by just tapping it. He probably could have just dribbled it in if he wanted to. And I don't know, when you're seeing a defense just look like that, it's going to be 5s and 6s.
It's the sort of goal a striker going through a famine wants, like a virtual tap-in, really, although he placed it well. Yeah. And Brad, Son then get the record all-time assist in Tottenham's history. Do you know he beat it?
That's amazing. I guess really when we saw that, Kane and Son had the best sort of goal involvement in the Premiership history, didn't we? I think. Mm-hmm. So I guess it's not surprising in that respect. But I think the only problem with assists is that you can play a 1-2 yard pass and it's an assist. So that's the only thing I will say about it. But no, it's still an absolutely brilliant record. Mm-hmm. And he's slowly sort of working his way into the Tottenham Hall of Fame, because I think he's about third in the goal scoring list now.
I think he's got about 179 goals, and he's got something like 68 assists. It's mental in about 400 odd games, like something like it's about 400, maybe 23 games or something like that.
I could end up seeing in my life watching Tottenham Hotspur, seeing the leading goal scorer and the second leading goal scorer all at the same time.
Actually beat the record. He beat was a player that Spurs fans called Sick Note, Darren Anderton.
Yes, it was.
Who actually played 299 games for us. So much for this. So this is how you can get lumbered with a Sick Note, tag, right? Because Darren Anderton I loved the player. I did love the player. So he was one, So
Shaggy.
Yeah. So. And Son's contributions wouldn't end there anyway. I mean, we'll move on, Jack. And then on the 25th minute, things weren't going well. 20-minute goal. Sarr I love this goal, but you
Yeah.
you see this goal. I mean, the way like this player's got a higher ceiling. He's got bigger skill set than people can imagine. I think. Go on, Jack.
I mean, it was a simply brilliant touch. It was a great move. Sonny cuts inside, finds Sarr, who actually does really well, where he's pretty much just screaming for it pretty much from the get-go. He knows that he's open. He eventually gets it. And just that first touch, I took like a screenshot of it when Dave and I did a little tactical breakdown earlier. It's just like, I don't know. I'm losing the metaphors today, but it was like touch of a cloud, touch of a feather,
Keep
just
milking
that
it,
sort of
keep
thing.
milking it.
Yeah, I know. It's just I'm going to try my best to keep milking it, but it really was, I think, a sublime touch, and just one that you just maybe you just sort of go like, like a sigh of just sort of like, pleasure, I guess, from it. And he then takes another 2 or 3 touches to sort of shift it around, and it's a good finish. Like he's getting dragged down, pulled down, and it's a great goal, and just shows Sarr's quality as much as he's all about the pitch, getting stuck in, robust midfielder. He has a real touch of class about him. And to be honest, I think
outside the box, inside the box,
becoming a complete midfielder.
I think with Sarr, I mean, I think, like you said about the high ceiling, this player's got it all. I think he could be, he's sort of like, I hate to say this, but like the Vieira type player. He could be that sort of player. The Man City player, whose name escapes me, Torre, whatever his name was. Torre.
Torre.
The thing about that goal is I think there'll be certain footballers in the Premier League or in any league that would only do that sort of thing because we're 3 goals up. And we're 3 goals up, so I'm doing this sort of stuff. I get the impression from Sarr, and I get the same impression from Mikey Moore, to be fair. I think Sarr would do that if we are 0-0 going into injury time, in a cup final. I think he'd do that and score.
Yeah.
I think he's such a talented player, very, very confident. Yeah, he has his off games, but he's been playing a lot lately. He does have his off games, but I think we've got a very good player there. I mean, let's face it. Let's be honest. He's played in a not a quarter final, a 16th round in the World Cup, hasn't he? When he played against England, Senegal. So he's got experience. So for such a young man, but no, I do like Papa Sarr, definitely.
Mark, he's developing though. I'm still not quite sure. Like Brad's alluded to in that, 6 or 8. He's never going to be a 10, but 6 or an 8 or a hybrid.
Yeah, well, to be honest, he shut me up immediately. Like, if you remember when this channel first started, I said, well, he runs about a lot and he don't actually do much. That I kept saying it week after week. He just runs around and don't. But it's. And
I kept saying he's their best midfielder last season.
Well, exactly. But like now, it seems like it seems like he's been here forever. But like, he's only 22. And it needs that couple of years or a year to like find his feet, and he's definitely improved. To be honest, he's probably one of the first names on the team sheet now. To be honest, in that sort of midfield role, I mean, in the way he sort of danced his way. Well, not that Southampton had much of a defence, but he sort of twinkle-toed his way through a lot of them, and it was a good finish as well.
Yeah. He gets up and down the pitch a lot, doesn't he?
He does. Like if you want someone that's going to run for 90 minutes, he's the man. Which is what I said when the channel first started. He just ran about a lot, but he never stops running. No. Every time he appears on the screen, he's never stood still, like puffing and panting. He's always running.
Jack, Sarr, 6 or 8 for you, or are you undecided?
I think he's more of an 8 because I think he can score goals, and I think he can. And I think if you give him that license to go up and down, I think you get more out of him. Whereas in a number 6 role, you just have to be disciplined, and you don't really get to enjoy maybe some of the pleasures of scoring goals and making box-to-box runs and that sort of thing. So I think he can do it as a 6, but I think he is better as an 8. He, like I said, and Dave brought this up, and I agree. I think he has so many elements to his game that you do start to ask, can this guy actually be one of those all-action midfielders that can kind of just sort of do it all? Maybe they're not perfect at everything, but they kind of do everything well, and like in such a way that maybe great midfielders of the past, like a Zidane, Schweinsteigers, those sort of guys.
Yeah. Brad, as Jack's alluded to, I mean, like, he may do a bit of both for 6 or an 8, but then I wouldn't want to lose his goal scoring abilities from outside the box to inside the box. If you can do that and finish like that, you want him really as an 8, don't you?
I think an 8 because he gets up and down, and I think a 6 has to be slightly defensively minded, which is why I think going forward, I think the future of our midfield could quite easily be, because I think Bergwijn, will be a better player further forward. You could quite easily have Gray, Sarr, and Bergwijn as our midfield in future years. Maybe not now, but certainly down the track. Any
more in the chat, Mark?
No. I did. I do apologise. I did sneak a couple of comments up.
Oh, that's okay. So Sarr, the future 8 with his energy, he's got to be.
Yeah.
He's got to be.
There's just one come in. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
He was like twinkle toes.
Season's greetings.
With a name like Answer and talking about footwork, I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
There we go.
Jack, first bit of game management.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really, like I said, I was kind of driving at this point, so I didn't really get to see the injury. I wasn't really too thrilled at the time to have found out that it was Pedro Porro on. I kind of wanted maybe one of the youngsters to be given a chance, because I kind of had the feeling that the game was truly over. But Ange, I think, probably just wants to play it safe and didn't want to just, I don't know, make it seem like the team was already celebrating, I guess. I'm not really too sure what opinion I have on it, Adrian, because like I said, I was driving. And then also, I mean, Pedro Porro probably wasn't my preferred candidate. I would have gone with someone else.
Yeah, Porro's been a bit disappointing, to say the least, isn't he?
Just didn't need to play for me in that game when you're 3-0, 4-0 up.
Underlines the fact that we need another left back, doesn't it, really?
We needed one in the summer, though, didn't we? We've been banging on about this. I mean, but they must have thought Davis was going to be the one to do the job, but then they wouldn't have known we were going to have 3 centre-backs out, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm not blaming them for that. It's just like, how many teams get 3 centre-back injuries in a season? People say, we should have bought more in. But what? If you've got 6 centre-backs and we've got kids anyway, you're never going to be playing any of them. Then chances are no one gets injured, and then the squad gets discontent in the squad and dissent because they're not getting games. And Ange has said, he's on record as saying, I do not want to block the path of Ashley Phillips and Luka Vaskovic. He has said,
I
thought we had the centre-back injury problems, though, as well.
I thought at the time, because I think Phillips had a really good season on loan last season, so I just presumed that we'd have 4 centre-backs being the 3 obvious ones, and Phillips. But,
well, Dorrington's 6'3" and Phillips is 6'4". Yeah. I mean, those kids were put in grow bags and put in a greenhouse when they were young. I'm sure they were, right? And he's doing well at Stoke. Mark, good management by Angelin on this?
I didn't actually see his injury, to be honest. And I watched the whole game.
It didn't look good. But in the press conference, he said that Udogie wanted to carry on, which I guess is a good sign.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we're so short of numbers. I mean, if someone even gets a knock, I'd take them off. You know,
4-0 up as well. So,
well, I'll be honest. At 4-0, my Liverpool supporting mate texted me and said, "Do you think you'll hang on?" And I answered him, "I'm going 4-4."
At 4-0, you take him off in a sedan chair, man.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a Southampton mate as well, and before the game I said this game has got 5-5 written all over it. Well, I was half right. So
yeah.
And just when you think it couldn't get better and the half-time whistle's about to blow, Jack, this happened, right? Madison goal, 45+4. Son gets another assist, right?
Yeah, I really loved this goal. What I've brought up plenty of times is I just think there needs to be as much quality in the starting 11 as we can get. Guys that can play passes like Sonny did there, and then also Madison who can finish off those moves like he did there.
I'm not sure he only got 2. I might be mistaken if I'm apologizing.
That broke the record, I think, that assist.
Yeah, I think that was his second. His first one was to Sarr.
He was tired. The second one, he went past Aaron Anderson. I'm not sure he got 3 assists. I've probably got this fact wrong.
He got 2.
Yeah, he got 2 because the one for Kulusevski got deflected by the Southampton
Someone
player.
did it to him, yeah.
But what a pass, right? I mean, outside the boot, he's played that pass a few times this season. Actually, it's kind of one of his moves, you know, to try to create something for those runs in behind, and just really well weighted, and
tight finish, tight angle.
Yeah, that's a great goal.
He's done that a couple of times this season, hasn't he? And hit it across the post, didn't he? I think against Palace, and I think against, I can't remember. I'm sure he's done that a few times where he's not that tight an angle, but he's been on that sort of area and he's sort of curled it past the post. But that goal was, I mean, I'm at 4-0. I'm thinking, don't concede, Tottenham. Don't concede.
Yeah.
Let's go in at half-time, 4-0, don't concede. So to get the 5th on the stroke of half-time was like a real bonus. And, first time we've ever scored 5 in a first half of a Premiership game. Although, let's face it, you know, the Premier League is not the only league in Britain. There were leagues before the Premier League was made up. So.
Was there?
Any more in chat, Mark? Any more chat comments?
Yes, only a couple.
By the way, big up to the chat tonight.
Alan's here.
While you're there in a private chat, you'll find
Mr. Blue Sofa. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Let me get back to the banners. I did put both the links up for the Irish Hotspur in the private chat, Mark. Yeah.
They are right. They are right at the top of the chat.
Yeah,
and at the
top
right.
of the chat.
But I can go in the private chat and put them in again.
So give them a plug, and while you're there, guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give us a thumbs up if you like the content, and spread the word, guys. Spread the word. You know, we're a young fledgling group. We've only been going, I think this is about our 6th month. So, but we're happy with our progress.
If I can intersect, they are not in the private chat, but I can sort that out.
I put it in the chat channel on the site then.
Yeah. It's right at the top of the chat. I noticed that when I come in here. But both the links for Jack's and Brad's channels.
Jack, Spurs declared at half-time. Cruise control.
I mean, I think
was dropping deeper. Everyone was dropping deeper and caressing the ball.
You might want to explain what declared means to Jack.
In cricket, you declare. If you get a big score and you think you're going to thrash your opponents anyway, then you declare on a score.
Basically stop
declared at 5-0, yeah?
like declaring mercy for the other team, essentially. Yeah. I kind of don't blame him, and I think that was the smart move. We don't have a plethora of players available. A lot of guys are injured. A lot of guys are already at their limits, I think, energy-wise anyways. Probably do want to take your foot off the gas. You have a much more important game, Man United on Thursday. Don't want to risk any injuries, that sort of thing. I think there's a lot of reasons for why you would take your foot off the gas. I mean, did we drop back? I think that's just by nature of taking your foot off the gas. You're just going to eventually give more possession to the other team. And by giving more possession to the other team, you're going to see your line just kind of naturally drop deeper and deeper. But it's not necessarily intentional, if you get my meaning. You know, it's not like we're deliberately looking to say this is where the line has to be in the game.
Yeah, I just think we just controlled it. But Armstrong had a couple of chances, Brad.
Yeah, I think that was going to happen. You know, because we did take
one
off.
Inside our post, one header straight at the keeper. I remember.
I think. I mean, we all would have loved to seen Tottenham hit double figures, which I think if we'd have gone with that same intensity in the second half, we might have got double figures. But with the games we've got coming up, with the squad and the injuries we've got, I was more than happy to see us taking it really easy in that second half, because Man United on Thursday is probably the biggest game of the season so far, I think. And you want your players fit and ready for that. So I'd much rather sacrifice 4 or 5 goals in the second half and having a Premiership record or whatever in favour. I'd much rather sacrifice that and have a fitter team on Thursday night for the Man United game, which is going to be a tough game. I mean, Man United are hot and cold, so I'm sure we're going to be talking about it later. But that's a game we can win. You know,
Mark, Southampton didn't offer much, but Young was it Dilbury? And correct me on the name.
He looked good. He looked good.
Didn't he? He did look good.
Yeah.
What's his proper name again? I can't remember. I think Dilby, Tyler
Dilby.
In chat, can you let us know?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but
he had a couple of half chances.
Yeah.
Volley, but the technique was good on the volley. Like he showed good technique. Like.
Yeah. To be honest, 5-0 at half time. The second half was just like
dibbling.
That's it.
Dibbling.
Yeah. To be honest, the second half was almost like a training game. I mean, a lot of our players were just walking about. You know, I mean, 5-0 at half time. Even I knew the game was over. Although I can remember Man City before they were the Man City that they were. I won't say that they are now. When we were 3-0 up in the cup, and they had a player sent off at half time, and they still beat us 4-3.
I was there.
Well, you were there. I watched it in a pub.
I've never seen such a silent train carriage on the
way. Yeah. And this is before the money come into Man City.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
this was not in the in the early 2000s.
Yeah, because
it would have been.
Ledley King. I actually won I actually had Ledley King at 33-1 to be the first goal scorer, so I won £100. But
excellent,
yeah,
excellent.
I would have rather have won the game.
Yeah, but to be honest, the second half was a training game. You know, we didn't hardly expend any energy. You know, and Southampton literally offered nothing, and so we just saw the next 45. It's like Brad said. If we'd have carried on at that intensity, I've got no doubts that we'd have scored 8, 9, 10. Yeah. Could have been any score. It literally could have been a cricket score. 25 for naught or something, but it would have been. It would have been because, I don't want to keep saying it, but Southampton are awful. Or they were Sunday.
I'm glad they're awful. Right?
Well, it helped us out a bit, didn't it? Helped us out a bit.
Doesn't bother us, yeah.
No, I'm not bothered at all. I mean, like,
A friend of mine who's a Tottenham fan was saying, "Oh, I feel a bit sorry for him. Do you?" I go, "No."
There was someone, Cody Mack, who I love on Twitter, who was saying that they're one of the worst teams of all time, and I would say that's gone a bit far. Like I had a funny debate, thinking of like who are some of the worst Premier League teams we've seen, and I don't think Southampton are anywhere close to the Huddersfields and whatnot of recent memory, or even like some of the Norwiches of recent time.
They took the lead against Liverpool, didn't they? I think at St Mary's. I know 2-1 up against Liverpool. So.
If Southampton wants sympathy, they'll find it in the dictionary. It's somewhere between shit and syphilis. Right?
Oh, all right.
There's a song lyric. There's a song lyric there. Thank you, Adrian. I'm going to use that.
You can use that,
yeah. Dictionary. Yeah, that works. Thank you for that.
46 minutes off Son on Johnson. Your take on Johnson when he come on?
Again, like I had to sort of watch back the highlights on this point. I kind of missed some of this game, but I think that was the right move. I think Sonny needs to be preserved as much as we can. I think he should play most of the games because he's just still one of our better wingers, whether you think he's past it or not. I still think he's much, much better than Johnson. He's still much better than Werner, and he's more experienced than Odegaard and any of the rest of the options. So he should play. And I think he's still nursing an injury to some degree. Also just getting older and older, so he just needs to be taken out. He doesn't need to be played for the whole 90 minutes. And there was that thing that we did with Harry Kane where we kind of just kept playing him until he basically didn't have any legs left. And I think we should try to avoid that with Sonny this season if we can. So I think that was the smart move. When Johnson comes on, to be honest, like that guy, I've tried to be really fair to him when I can because I'm not his biggest fan. I'll be honest. I am very biased towards him or against him. And he just really underwhelms me. Like every single time he comes on, he's just like, you kind of forget he's on the pitch. Every time he receives the ball, he looks to just go backwards or pass it sideways. And he doesn't really look that keen on ever really doing anything to create anything for anybody else. He's kind of a guy that likes to sniff out goals for himself, but doesn't look to try to create for other people. And from what I could tell by the highlights, I think he also missed maybe a good chance at one point to score. And it didn't look like he did a whole lot when he was offside. I could be wrong. I only watched the highlights in the second half.
He was offside, but I don't think he knew that at the time. He still should have put it in there.
Exactly.
I mean, Brad, I've warmed to him. I mean, he has got 10 goals this season, twice as many as last. And he did have a good game without scoring against Man City in the League Cup. I mean, that's probably the best I've seen him without scoring. But just some games you just notice it, don't notice him. He's just completely off the radar, isn't he? I mean, you just don't notice him.
I don't think he's a winger. Simple as that. I think he's an inside forward.
I mean, without studying where the ball isn't, you're hoping some games he's in a position where he's keeping a defender occupied, even though he's not having no great impact on the game, so keeping someone back or something.
He's an inside forward, and he's got a knack for goals, which if you can fit that into your team, is pretty good to have. But other players, is he keeping other players out by using him that way? He is frustrating. I mean, look, don't get me wrong, I feel really pleased for him, the goals he scored this season. But when he gets that ball, you just want him to take it past the man, take it past the man, put it in the box. But I don't think he's a winger. And I don't think he played as a winger for Forest, to be fair.
No, he didn't. No.
Someone actually said that's the two Forest players, wasn't it? Johnson and Sarr. Spence. I totally look. Son is a sort of player that, whether you think he's in form or not, or past it or not, he's a match winner. Simple as that. And when you get to the quarterfinal of the League Cup, I called it the League Cup, no advertising. You want a match winner, and I think he's that sort of player. So taking him off at half time, good move. And we'll see obviously on Thursday whether any of this sort of second half performance benefits us. So I think it will. But Johnson, he's one of these sort of strange. He had that little purple patch, and he's still scoring goals, but I don't think he's a winger. But then again, Kulusevski's not really a winger either. So, in fact, we've only really got one. I don't go with this playing wingers on their wrong foot.
Inverted.
Yeah, inverted. That's the word. Because it's like, well, the way that Ange plays his football is you get to the bar and put the ball in, and you get the goals that way. But we haven't got wingers that really do that. And the one player that can do that doesn't, which is Werner. So,
do you think that, Brad? That's a good point you raised. But do you think that's because all clubs tend to play inverted wingers, want to get the ball at a close space like Decky does, always cuts in to narrow the space between you and a striker, so you can get off a more accurate pass or even a shot. And you don't see many wingers out there that'll take a man and put a cross into the box. And when there is a cross in the box, it's not like the old days when you had two centre forwards in the box. You got one marked by 3 or 4. And I think about 1 in 64 crosses. Someone can Google this and let me know, because I haven't done it for about 2 seasons. But back then it was about 1 in 64 crosses resulted in a goal. So if the coaching staff know that and they're doing the maths, you think, well, what other ways can we score? A lot more goals are scored from corners now, because every coach up and down the country, they've all been working on set pieces. A lot more. It's gone up exponentially, actually.
I think football goes through phases, doesn't it? I'm old enough to remember Manchester United when they came up from the second division, the old second division. They had Stevie Coppell and Gordon Hill as wingers. Yeah,
and Stuart Pearson in the middle.
Yeah, and it worked brilliantly. And Tottenham used to have Ralph Coates and Jimmy Neighbour and that sort of thing. So football changes. The only thing I will say about the typical Ange goal is that if that's the only way we score, then other teams are going to sort of cotton on to that and try and prevent it. So maybe in a way it's good that we can find other ways to score. But we haven't really got. I mean, I haven't seen enough of Odeberg. We haven't
or
really,
Mikey Moore.
But Mikey Moore plays better on the left, coming in on his right foot. So it's one
plays
of those.
On the right for England, on the left for the under-21.
Yeah. But I think what you see with Kulusevski when he's on the right is you'll have Porro making the overlap and run, so he'll get the ball, come inside, then push Porro, and Porro will be the guy putting the ball in. So maybe that's the answer. But
just on Johnson, because I know you're part of the Johnson Defence League, Mark.
I am.
What he has showed to me this season, some of his finishes have been quality. The one away at Coventry, the chip to do the kick, he has shown some composure, which last year I thought we got another Werner, another hit and hope merchant, But,
So, well, as a chairman of the,
I don't know what his ceiling is. Angel likes him.
No, as a chairman, as chairman of the Tottenham on Tour Johnson Defence League. But No, well, even I've been a little bit critical of him because he does disappear from games. Now, I agree with Brad. He was never a winger at Forest. He was more an inside forward. He even played striker for him a few times.
Mm.
And so, even though he's like fast as lightning, because he has got pace, I don't really think he's got it in his game to beat the man and whip the ball in. You know, I mean, you don't really see wingers like that in the Premier League anymore.
No,
I mean, most sort of crosses come in now when the team's sort of got an overload, and they don't, and they knock it past a player, and someone runs onto it, whether it be that person, So you don't really see that where the player like beats his man and whips it in the box. You don't see that anymore.
True, Mark. True, because what happens is that when they get the overload, the player who's received the ball
Is in space anyway.
He tries to get into the penalty area. Now,
yes. Yeah. And so you don't really see that anyway. But like Johnson, he's all right. You said he's got 10, 12 goals, whatever he's got this season, and that's his best. But for me, being critical of him, when he does get a goal, it's normally that tap in at the far post when the ball's come across. But he seems to vanish. And to be honest, like even when he come on in the second half, he was, well, let's face it, the team weren't really up for it because they were all conserving energy. And so he just sort of jogged about a bit and did what he did. But let's face it, the whole team did nothing in the second half. Let alone Johnson, like not doing anything. I mean, if you're at work and the rest of your workmates have just stood about doing nothing, you're going to stand about doing nothing as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, do you want to answer this question quickly?
Yeah, we can go around. Jack, what do you think of this question? Would you want Sarr out of the club? He's out of contract in 25, may not get renewed.
No, I think he's kind of underwhelmed since he's gone to Bayern. He's been really poor there. And he has a bit of the, I don't know, like a player that was really, really, really talented at one point, but then hasn't really lived up to the potential. And it's kind of similar to, I think, Marcus Rashford, where I think it's like you wonder if it's the flashy lifestyle, whatever, maybe being disillusioned by being, kind of going through so many different managers, all that sort of stuff. Like he looks like a guy that's really disinterested, to be honest.
Brad?
Yeah, I think there was a season or so at City where he looked really good, was a very good player, but then he just seemed to lose it. And if we're going to be the club we want to be, challenging up there every season, I think we've got to get out of this mindset of, so-and-so's available, he's out of contract, he'll be available free, just snap him up. I think we've got to get out of this mindset. It just says small club mentality. And I'm not going to go at Rasco there, but yeah, I think they were saying the same about the little guy who plays for England who looks like he's a school kid. He's so small. Plays for England, Gomez.
Yeah, Angel Gomez from
Angel Gomez. They were saying that about
David,
he's out of contract. He's a decent little player, but again, he's out of contract. Snap him up, and it's like, well, no, I think we have to get out of that mindset. I really do.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me. Went for his teammate Jonathan David though, just because if Charles
players, generally speaking, players will be out of contract for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've seen it with Werner. So
unfortunately though, Brad, we all know what the chairman's like in this.
Well, this is it. And this
what I mean? And if there's like bargain basement like things, he'll be all over it. He's like a vulture hovering in the air.
And this is what I think the mentality that I think we have to get out of.
Yeah.
And Jack, age is a factor as well. I mean, we get linked with someone like Matey at Man City who can't get a game. Who came from Villa.
Grealish. Well, we could have had him.
Yeah, but he's 29 now. It's a bit. Yeah. I mean, I'm not being funny. He's 29. You want a Grealish at 25, 26, not 19-year-olds, any more kids. We don't really want any more kids unless they really are exceptional. I can think of one or two out there that are. But But yeah, I mean, like age is a factor, isn't it? And who we're looking for, and positions as well. I mean, like we all know we need a left back and a midfielder. So I think it's going to be goodbye Basuma at the end of the season. You know,
I think so. Yeah, I think, and I'm, you know me, I like to give players a chance, but I think Alec would say he's too unreliable. He's good on his day, but he's just too unreliable. Yeah, it's another player that's going to come up in the conversation at some stage over the next week is Rashford. He's been transfer listed. Now, I would have snapped him up a few seasons ago. Yeah, when him and Kane were playing brilliantly for England. But you know, I actually said at the time that I think it was when Mourinho was managing Man United. I said, well, we should must make a cheeky bid for him. You know, I think Mourinho's making cheeky bids for Tottenham players. I said, well, no, make a cheeky bid for Rashford. But now he seems to have lost it. Maybe he's young enough, I think, to improve. But, you know, his wages are going to be pretty high, and we all know what Daniel's like on paying high wages. So,
right, Jack, back onto the second half still. 77th minute, off Maddison and Spence, on Werner and Dorrington. I think I know most people's opinions on Werner. What did you think of Dorrington when he came on?
Yeah, and I didn't really get to see some of these kind of micro details because I was in the airport probably at this point.
He gave one ball away, but after that, he was pretty solid. Like,
was it on the big screens in the airport? Jack, I thought Southampton Spurs have been all over the airport on big screens.
Well, I would have been, but like this is like the period where like you're getting out of you're getting rid of the rental car, you're like going through security. You know, it's just the worst time to try to be looking down at your phone like while watching a game. So this is stuff that I found out like through Twitter and the highlights, but I was very relieved to see that he got some minutes. But that's all I can say, really, sadly.
I think it took a while for him to come on. Didn't he's ready to come on, wasn't he, from memory, Adrian? But the ball wouldn't go
77 minute he came on. He gave away one dodgy ball, and like after that, he was pretty solid.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have a lot of time. Yeah.
I mean, he prefers his right foot, but he can use both. And last year in the cup game, was it the final? One of the games, he broke forward at pace. Like he's another one who's good on the ball and likes to get forward. These centre backs nowadays, it seems to be a prerequisite. You've got to be good on the ball, not just good in the air and a good tackler. And like, I like him. I like Phillips as well. I mean, like, I wouldn't be going for a centre back because we're not going to win the league. If we get through and we look like we've got a chance of winning one or more cups, then like, just go for sixth youth for cup next year because we ain't going to be a Champions League team next year. We won't have the squad. We still need holes to fill. So, and then go for the UEFA. That's what I want. I want the Europa League. But right, so that was okay.
All right. Sorry.
And then do the chat, Mark. Yeah.
Well, I was nearly at the bottom, but carry on with this.
I wanted to link you on. I wanted to link you on earlier, Brad. I've got to be honest, but like
Yeah, I agree.
Especially with that league, but.
For two reasons: one, that we're coasting, and two, you don't want Solanke to get injured, when he doesn't have to. So, but yeah, it's good to. And I think I think Lancha had a chance, didn't he? Or he had a shot from memory. But yeah, no, it's good to see him come on. Good to see Dorrington come on. I think they'll get games gradually, but at the moment, maybe when we play Elfsborg in the Europa League that these players will get a chance. But then again, that's really a must-win game for Tottenham.
Yeah, I think that's the 30th, January the 31st, and the week before, Thursday before we were away to Hoffenheim. So they're the last two.
And the two games, I think everyone's going, we're going to qualify. Well, we want to finish top 8. We don't want to add another round in.
No.
So I think I worked it out. If we win our two games, then I don't think there's anyone that can overtake us.
We'll be through. It would be embarrassing to go into qualifying, but it's hard not to qualify because you only is the 25th team because it's 8 and then 16. That's 24. You'd have to finish in 1 and 20. So we're going to qualify.
We're actually, I don't know about all the other teams, but all I do know is that Man United and Rangers play each other. So if we win, those two teams would have to overtake us, and they can't because they play each other. So if we win our last two games, which
there's more than that. There's other teams above us got to play each other as well.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Take points for each other. Right.
Yeah, so I think certainly, I'd imagine the win and the draw. Draw at Hoffenheim, beat Elfsborg. We've got to beat Elfsborg at home, surely. You know,
We went for all this, didn't we, Adrian? We went for all this.
We'll stop with.
Yeah.
Any more in the chat to go through? Big up
Yeah,
to you in the chat anyway.
Just Queen Ellie, and yes, I know, Ellie, I know.
So would I. So
Yeah. I was disappointed, to be honest. I was disappointed he didn't make most of his subs at half time. Since we're 5, even we can't chuck away a 5-0 lead, surely.
Well, my only fear is that Richarlison will get in his way of getting back in, because he'd be fit in the new year, as will Odegaard and others, you know. And I just don't think, you know, well, I think Richarlison needs to go with Basuma, in my opinion, and Werner. Those three need to go out in the summer. But we can't afford to get rid of any players without going on a recruitment.
No.
Without going on about recruitment, because, like, you know, we're going to need everyone to get through all these cup games and that, you know. So, Jack, Forster, just a few players to go through, because most of the ones we talked about were involved in the goal scoring. Forster not really had anything to do, did he?
It looked like he didn't have much to do, from what I could tell. He probably could have just kicked up a lawn chair, during the game.
I think he made one save.
He did actually. Yeah, he made one really good save from memory. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, again, you know, it's one of those games where I was more distracted than usual. But yeah, from what I could tell, he did not have a whole lot to do. And Forster is able to get a clean sheet. And it's before the year of 2025, Forster gets his clean sheet. So good for him. He's played well. It's nice to see that he didn't have to be so busy. In other games, he has had to be busy.
Again, Brad Solanke. He was anonymous as well, wasn't he? But we won 5-0, so I'm not saying in that respect.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for Solanke to score. Well, he has scored goals, I guess. But
and then, like,
I think the player, the way he's been playing as that really strong guy, holds up the play, brings other people in. I think once he starts scoring goals, to me that's icing on the cake. I don't think it's like you got to score goals. It's like when you start scoring goals, it's going to be we'll have an even better player. So I think. And you know, again with players, you know, we're only halfway through the season. Why are we? You know, some fans writing players off and what a rubbish buy or whatever it might be. Give the guys a chance, please. You know,
and sometimes, Brad, I mean, like, strikers do draw defenders away to make space.
Exactly.
So you have to take that in. It's not all about scoring goals, you know. So
I wanted him to get one. I will admit, I did want him to get one just because we were like 4-0 up. 3-0 up.
Oh,
I did want him to get one, but like he didn't. But it doesn't matter when you win 5-0. No,
he could have won. He could have won the game at Rangers, couldn't he?
Yeah.
Jack Dragerson.
Again, like, I think Dragisin had a relatively quiet evening. I didn't think he had to deal with too much on the day, and it's nice to say that because, like with Forster, I think he's had to be very busy, and that's unfortunate because you would rather them maybe not have to be called upon as much, but it didn't look like he had too much to deal with from what I could tell in this game. And even in possession, like, it wasn't like he was put under that much pressure, you know, to play out from the back or anything like that. Didn't look like it was that difficult of a game for him.
Is he improving for you?
I think he is. And I think the big thing for me with Dragisin is I don't know if he's yet had that. I think Romero has had plenty of these. I think Mickey Van de Ven has had plenty where he's just that, you know, real eye-catching performance, like one that's like real standout. Like, I think Dragisin's had good performances, like solid ones, but I don't know if he's had that dominating type performance where he's close to man of the match or maybe the man of the match, you know, outstandingly. So I think he still is yet to get one of those, but I've said this before, Ben Davis, him, and Forster have not been the problem whatsoever in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 games. Whatever this bad run has been, it's not been down to Dragisin. It's not been down to Ben Davis. No. It's not been down to Forster. They've actually played out of their skin, in my opinion. I think they played very well.
Yeah.
Mark, Dragisin for you?
Oh, yeah, well, it's Dragison's a solid defender, but he's an old school defender. You know, he is your typical. Like, when you see him for Romania, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, but like, well, I know I keep saying it. It's that stupid damn system we play. Stood on the halfway line. You know, it's all that. You know, but I'm not going to go on about that because I've said it more than enough on this channel. But like, you know, if you put him in a solid defence, he will get better. But it's just a shame that our defence is never solid when you've only got two when you've only got two of them there to sort it all out.
I think I like Dragusin actually. I think
I do a lot.
He's certainly better than Romero and Van der Ven in the air. I think he's that sort of gritty player that I think you need. I mean, I'm trying to think of examples in because I know what the people's answer will be. I was going to say that one of our best defenders in the last decade or so was Mark Dawson. And he wasn't a player that was earning 10 out of 10s every game. He was that, as you say, that 7 out of 7 player, 7 out of 10 player. Yeah. He just did the simple things.
He's quicker than Michael Dawson, though, Dragusin.
I think if people could make the argument, well, we're never going to win titles when we got average players. But if you look at the Man United team, I think they had someone like Steve Bruce playing for them.
Yeah,
and he was that sort of bog standard centre back, and they went on to win everything. Gary Pallister, and I'm only going from my memory. Gary Pallister wasn't the best defender in the world, but I think Dragusin is that sort of player that will give it all. Good in the air. He's not that bad at bringing it all out, comparatively.
So. He's been hit and miss for me. I mean, he played everyone offside for the second goal away at Newcastle. Played him on side. He got sent off against Carabao.
Yeah,
his positional play at times has been suspect, but not being overly critical after we won a game, smashed Southampton. I mean, when you're a centre back, he would need to have played, quite a few games with Davies, with VDV, and with Romero to develop that centre back pairing understanding that you need at the back. To trust your partner, and when to go and stay, and who's going to deal with this. In the penalty area, I've even questioned VDV's positioning. He's very good on his pace, but these players are still developing, though. You know what I mean? And that's without bringing more younger ones piling in on top of them.
I think Jack put his finger on it. They're not the reason that we've been in this poor run of form.
No.
Yeah, so
no.
Jack, I've left two of the players I really liked till last. Gray, come on. What's your take on Gray this game and other games you've seen him play?
Again, I don't know if he had too much to do. Someone told me maybe at one point he made a really crucial intervention or crucial block or something like that defensively, but I don't think he had too much to do on the day. And I really like Archie Gray. I'm starting to think that he might end up feeling like a new signing maybe towards the second half of this season if he gets more opportunities, more minutes. I think if Basuma continues to underwhelm us and force us to have these conversations about him, Archie Gray, I'd like to see be given minutes maybe ahead of Basuma in the midfield if there's chances, because right now his minutes are only coming through the fullback, through the center back role. He's kind of just this plug-in sort of guy. Like anytime there's a leak, Archie Gray is there to fix it basically. And
he hasn't let us down in any position, has he?
No, not really. Like I think even the one thing I would say is maybe in the athletic sense, he's not the quickest. He's not really the most pacey, so he can get caught out a little bit. But he has made up for it, and I think he's actually just improved each game. Like I would say, less and less have I felt worried about him getting beat on the dribble or getting beat down the sides, because this is what I mean by that. I think the game he actually struggled in the most defensively, if I recall, were like against Carabao, and it might have been like Alkmaar or something like that. He was struggling against some of their wingers. He got
bullied in one of the preseason friendlies against Bayern Munich as well. Yeah, but like what a talent.
He's good. And I think he could feel like a new signing, hopefully, if he gets more minutes in the midfield.
Brad, I mean, as you just alluded to, I suppose you're like me. I wouldn't have no qualms of putting him in for any game, basically.
No, I think
the right shape of the midfield. We got the right shape. Just put him.
He's got a football brain as well. I mean, it's hard to believe he's only 18. And I think he's quite cool under pressure as well. Maybe at times, maybe sometimes too cool under pressure. He sort of dribbles the ball out. But look, it's very easy to say, oh, he's going to be a really great player. Wow, he's only 18, because it doesn't always work out that way. But I think we've got more reasons to be confident that he's going to be a good player than not. And it's just unfortunate we haven't seen him in probably his proper position, which is in the midfield somewhere. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but he played a right back for Leeds because they had a problem there and they had to play him.
Yeah, definitely.
But he plays any part of the pitch. And he hasn't done that badly as a centre back. I was sort of thinking, oh my God, but it's not that bad. Admittedly, you're playing Southampton and these sort of teams. Be interested to see what because that surprised me that he went with him rather than bringing Dorrington when we had to bring in another centre back when Davis got injured. That did surprise me. But
Dorrington has stepped in at left back for the under 21s.
Right. But he has done well, and be interested to see how he goes against Liverpool on Sunday. Well, actually, and against Man United for that matter. But
yeah. Mark, anything on Gray?
Well, he's that square peg in the round hole, isn't he? But he's sort of getting rounder. He is sort of getting ready. He's nearly fitting it. But it's like I said, well, as I said when the channel first started, yes, he's probably going to be a fantastic player, but is he ready for the now? No, is the answer. He's done well.
I think he's ready now, personally.
Yes, but I wouldn't have minded us signing players like Gray and Dragusin, but just bring some experience in with them. You know what I mean? That's what I wanted. I wanted players to be brought in that was going to improve us immediately. Not wait like half season, a season, 2 seasons, and then they sort of get to the top and improve us. For the money we earn in the club, we should be buying ready-made players. I agree with the you got to bring the youngsters and something for the future. Yes, do that, but make us better immediately at the same time. And Gray is doing his job, but is he really ready? Probably he's getting that way now, and he's only been with us 6 months. But he wasn't. He wasn't the player that when we signed him, you thought, wow, like the oven ready player coming in. I mean, even like from what I can remember, there's not been that many players that Tottenham have signed over the years that you think, wow. The only one for me really is Klinsmann.
He's shown good discipline having to play in
different positions. Definitely.
Even when he's gone on dribbles and he's lost the ball, his recoveries are excellent.
Yeah.
He gets back, he dig the foot and he get the ball back. He's good in the air. I mean, and he is composed. I mean, our most composed defender who's coming for a lot of criticism recently, I don't know why, because others have been worse than him, is Romero on the ball. Even when he's on the byline and people cry, he won't kick it in a touch, Romero. He'll keep the ball. He'll try to progress with the ball, even when someone's on his back. I just think, I like the player.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't digging him out and having a go at him, but I just wanted, surely, if we do sign anyone in January, they've got to walk straight into the first team. You know what I mean? I mean, enough of this youth project now. I mean.
The summer was that, wasn't it? Really?
No.
The summer was the youth project. The young Korean kids just come over, isn't he?
Well, exactly. And so surely anyone who comes in, I want to see players turn up at the club. That whoever's got their shirt, say we buy, I don't know, a midfielder, a defensive midfielder. As soon as they come in, the first words to Basuma is, right, I'm having your shirt and you're not getting it back. You want players to come in that's going to nab their spot immediately.
Oh, I've got the player for that. Jack, this guy, last 2 games, and a second half performance against Bayern Munich in a pre-season friendly, I thought, he's got a long range of passing. He was disciplined as well. He could play as a 10, but he was more of a 6-8 in this game, wasn't he?
Yeah, I heard that Bergvall played really well in this game, and I did like him in the cameo he had before that. He has real quality. I just don't know if he's gonna progress as quickly as Gray has this season. I think with Bergvall, we just have to be a bit more patient. Here and there, he'll get minutes. He might play really well one game, might not play so well in others. Because remember in the preseason, he was playing so well that a lot of us were like, he has to start, first game of the season. And then now, with the context of everything that's happened, it's not like that looks silly, but it just shows, with a young player, they really do go hot and cold sometimes. And I think we just have to accept that with Bergvall. But I heard he played really well. I heard as well from Dave that, this is really high compliments. And I know Dave, he's probably maybe a bit more conservative sometimes about not overly praising people, but he said he has that sort of shade of the Modric about him, which is just that bit of swagger, that bit of sort of just
very skillful.
easiness and fluidity in the way that he moves, the way that he receives it, the way that he passes, just makes the game look easy, kind of like Modric does, and just makes it look beautiful.
He's got great
agree with
vision,
Yeah.
great vision, and a turn on the ball as well.
I think only the two criticisms I've got of him. I think he does some unnecessarily bad tackles at times. He doesn't have to make. He picked up I think he was very unlucky with the booking he got against Southampton, and I think the booking he got against Rangers was disgraceful. But I have to say, fair play to the referee, because I think the referee was going to give him a second yellow right near the end and chose not
He
to.
was.
And I think fair play with him. Going back to the Gray and Bergwell situation, I think, I mean, many people say that the Championship is probably one of the best leagues in the world, because you never know who's going to win it, really. And Gray had a whole season in that league, and I think it's a much more physical league than the Swedish league or wherever Bergwell was playing. So I think with Bergwell, once he gets used to the pace and the physicality of the Premier League, I think, again, like Gray, I think we've got a good player on our hands there. Again, I'm more confident he's going to be good than not. And they even asked him, didn't they? I think on one of the club interviews, he did say that, he's not used to this physicality and the pace of the Premier League. And, well, he got crabbed, didn't he? So it's but he again, like Gray, he's very confident when he's got the ball. He's not afraid to do these things. Yeah, there are some times where I see him dribbling in the penalty area where you just want him to get rid of it or pass the ball out, but or in our own penalty area. But he's very confident. The Modric comparison, and Modric was only a very slight player as well, and he certainly got used to the Premiership and that. So again, I think we've got a decent player there, and as I said earlier on in the show, you could see years down the track with Gray, Bergwall, and Sarr as our midfield.
He seems to have that bit of swagger that I just know he is going to boss the midfield in games. He's just going to do that, Mark. I mean, he can put his foot on a tackle. Someone's a bit clumsily, but he's another one like Gray. They're both 6'2". You know what I mean? They're not like slight players are going to get over bullied, right?
I think that clumsiness thing is just his age. It's sort of it's a sort of right. I got to go. Whereas experience and that, and you get a bit of like. Well, I'm not saying he's not got football knowledge, but when you learn the game, you sort of think, no, don't. It's them split-second decisions where he'd dive in and get booked, and possibly should have got sent off against Rangers. When he learns a bit more, you think, no, because I mean, you look at the players in the past. They always said about Teddy Sheringham is the first 5 yards was in his head.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do anything. Just knowing the game and where to be is enough. To stop you like lunging in.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be a fantastic player. Well, I hope him and Gray, fantastic. I hope they both turn out to be fantastic players, but we don't know at the moment.
Yeah.
This is what you get for like punting on youngsters, because we all thought Dele Alli was going to be a world beater, and look what happened to him. You know what I mean? He come in when he was 17. And when he started, he was taking the world by storm. People were talking about 80 million buying him, and this is like years ago. Sadly, look what happened to him. So you don't know. I'm not sorry.
One of the saddest stories in football. Dele Alli, what happened to him?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, I'm not saying that either of these are going to go down that path. I certainly hope they don't. But look, it is. Yes, they both look good, and we all think that they're all going to make it. But it's the unknown. It's not one of us can sit here and say, "Oh, look, yes, they're both going to be like world superstars," because we can't say it. Unless
they could both play for the under-21s, couldn't they?
Yeah, and unless you've got a time machine, Adrian, that we don't know about.
Right, game stats. We had 58% possession, 598 passes, and 91% pass accuracy. Yellow cards for Maddison, Bergville, Johnson.
Hasn't got a yellow card again. This is incredible.
Yeah, he's 3 now. I could bring that up later. I mean, the yellow card watch.
Madison's was stupid.
I think that performance showed the players are certainly behind Ange. They all looked happy, didn't they? You know.
Yeah.
Just before we move on a little bit, goals for 36, goals against 19, goal difference plus 17. It's the second best in the league, which is mental. We always come up with these stats. When we finished second in the league, we actually scored one more goal than Chelsea and conceded one goal less. I mean, you couldn't make it up, but it's Spurs, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
Have you heard? Did you have time to hear the new Kulusevski Daniel Levy song?
Isn't there only 2 teams that have conceded less goals than us this season as well?
Yeah, we have the most goals scored, or close to the most goals scored, and
Yeah.
then we have third fewest goals conceded.
And the other stat, before we go into the Levy thing, the other stat that I found very interesting, which is the fact that our wins in the Premier League this season have been 3, 4, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Our losses have only been by the odd goal. We haven't lost one match by more than a goal this season in the Premier League. So I think that tells you a lot. And it's probably quite a positive thing, because you think, well, if you can improve that and start turning your losses into draws, then then we're 7 points better off already, and then you start turning your draws into wins. So yeah, I thought that was a very interesting stat that someone on Twitter put out the other day.
Yeah, this new song. I mean, it made me laugh when I heard it. Like, I'm not a fan of Levy, but all I've ever wanted from the club is to be able for them to have the maximum spend in the transfer window under the rules, basically, and coming up for this period of time. So apparently, there's balloons. There's going to be a protest on the Sunday against the Liverpool game when we're there, Brad, and balloons will go up. This will certainly if it makes Levy uncomfortable and they decide to spend what they can in the transfer window, and who knows what that is, right? Then some good will come of this, And I'm glad if the protest is taken away from Ange, because I think some of the stick he's got is unjustified. Only one of them ready player in the summer, and like the injuries he's had to put up with. I know people say excuses. Yeah, but we still know this squad is probably five players short of him being able to compete in the Champions League if we were to get there by winning the Europa League, So, yeah.
No, obviously I thought the Kulusevski song was wrong, and no, I loved it. Every minute of it, right? Long may it continue. Long may it continue. And it's like I said to you backstage, Adrian, it doesn't matter who the manager of Tottenham is. It really doesn't matter. We could have had Pep 2 or 3 years ago when he was invincible, and he wouldn't do that at Tottenham because of the board and the skinflint nature of our beloved chairman. It doesn't matter who. It doesn't matter, right? I mean, I've been on it and I've been moaning about Ange's system and all this, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. The problems at Tottenham lie at the top, and they always will. Until, put it this way, Daniel Levy is a businessman, is a genius. No one can say otherwise, but his football decisions are awful. His profit before glory all the time.
I've got quite a lot to say on this. I think Adrian, what you said is actually correct. I don't think the protests, no matter how big it is or how good it is, I don't think it's going to make Levy and Enoch sell up.
No,
but the fact that it makes him feel uncomfortable just before the transfer window, who knows? I think hopefully it will have an effect that he does actually go out and spend some money, or not so much buy players, not buy players where they think, oh, he's cheap, oh, he's going to be a prospect. Buy a ready-made player, that sort of thing. Don't sort of say, oh, well, you asked for 40 million, we'll give you 35. Just pay it. And the thing that really annoys me about Oxford Football Club at the moment, and I saw this today. I don't know how. I'm presuming it's true. We'll find out on Sunday. Okay, so I don't know if anyone's familiar with the TV series Squid Games.
I have no idea. Do you know?
Okay,
We've got Netflix, haven't we?
I asked Ben Kaufman about this. Because I ain't got a clue what it is. It's some sort of anime, is it?
It's not anime. It's a South Korean South Korean drama series. It's very, it's absolutely brilliant. I recommend you find season 1 and watch it. But it's South Korean. Okay, that's the bottom line. It's South Korean, and we all know that South Korea is quite obviously we get a lot of South Koreans at the game. We got Sonny, the new black in, and that sort of thing. So season 1 of the Korean thriller earned international critical acclaim and became Netflix's most watched series in history. To mark the launch of the new season release on 26th of December, Netflix has partnered with the club with activation planned around Tottenham Hotspur's Premier League fixtures against Liverpool and Wolverhampton Wanderers. This will include experimental activity for fans with the infamous Squid Game guards, right? If you watch the series, you know what I mean. Roaming the stadium in their pink hooded jumpsuits for the photo opportunities, and a giant blimp of the young He doll, which again, if you've seen the series, will make much more sense to you, featured in the red light, green light game, appearing outside the stadium pre-match. And my friend who sent it to me said game's dead. And that's the one thing I have a problem with Tottenham at the moment, is that I wouldn't mind any of this stuff happening if we were winning stuff and we're at the top of that, but we're not. And I just seem to think that the pyramid, the football team's got to be at the top. I don't think it is at the moment.
No.
And as I say, I've got no problems with that at all. It doesn't trigger me. No problems with that. I don't mind the NFL games. I don't mind the concerts. In fact, I want to go and see a concert there. I want to see one of my favourite players. I don't mind the rugby, having the rugby card. I don't mind the boxing. All of these things that we do, the extra revenue that comes in. But the football club,
good for local businesses, Brad, especially in
the football
area.
club has got to be the pinnacle. That's got to be what it's all there for. And I'm sorry, but at the moment, it doesn't seem to be that way. You go around, people that live in London will see tube stations with posters saying, come to the Tottenham experience. Is it about watching the football? No, it's about Skywalk and whatever it might be, the casting or whatever. So
I saw him, Brad, when I was up there the other week.
Yeah, and it's so, and that, as I say, that wouldn't matter to me if we were winning and at the top of our game and competing in games. So this January transfer window, all right, we're not going to go and suddenly change the team. We know that's not going to happen. But we've got to make some sort of effort at bringing in some players, ready-made players, to complement the Greys and the Bergvalls, to complement the Mikey Moores, to complement the Sarrs. We have these players that come in. So the younger players haven't got that pressure on them, and so we can make it. And if I'm not expecting us to go for the title, or not even expecting us to challenge for top 4 this season, but let's try and at least win a cup. Let's win the League Cup. Let's win Europa League, because then that acts as a basis. But they've got to do it. And I mean, we're hearing that, yes, we've got to back the manager. We've heard that so many times before. But the protests, I'm getting very old in the hat at the moment with protests, so I don't really get involved that much. I still drink at the club, I don't personally think not having a beer at the club's going to make any difference. I think the protests on Sunday, and I think there might be one against Wolves, if it makes Levy uncomfortable, which I think is going to be, I think that'll be the main aim of it. I think that's the most we can get out of it. And I have every respect for the people that are doing it and that have gone to all this effort to do it. Full respect to you guys, but I think I don't think the club will be selling up anytime soon. And the other thing about the club selling, it's because if you're buying Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, you're buying all the infrastructure around it. You're buying the property. You're buying all this sort of stuff. All the hotels going up. So it's only going to be bought by another person or another conglomerate that's interested in property management and that sort of thing. We just have to be hopeful that anyone does. They're just run by an incredibly...
all the money from all the events goes into the total revenue stream, which is because it's football-based in the financial report. That is all revenue, which is dipped into. We're part of that total revenue becomes part of the transfer funds, right? Less debts, things like that. So it all does. Every event does put a bit more money into the club. And it isn't at the football side. There's about 14 companies, I think.
Oh, God, yeah. I've seen the structure.
Yeah, the two main ones are the oldest company is the Tottenham Hotspur Football Athletic Co. Company Limited that holds the players'
registrations. Does that still exist? I don't even think that exists.
Yeah, it does. It holds the players' registrations.
Oh, okay.
And gets the TV money. Now, the stadium is owned by Tottenham Hotspur Limited. I'm not going to mention other companies. And that company, right, gets obviously all the match ticket revenue. I mean, how all the ribbon advertising, all the TV advertising, blah blah blah, and all that. Makes about 6 million a game. But yeah,
I've said for
a different company for the shop, because they've all got to do different accounts, right? You'll have a different company for the training ground, because whether that would make money or not, unless it's a sponsor. And we had the Italian, the American, the Brazilian, and the England squad stay there, so they would have been charged a fee. But it's not. And then you got the women's train. So there are other companies. Then there'll be companies for developing. Well, if they're using Spurs money to develop property, then that money comes back into the football club. Unless it's a private company that Levy's using with a few cohorts. If they're doing private work elsewhere, not to do with the club, then whatever they make or lose is down to them, isn't it? I mean, it's their business.
I've said for a long time now, Adrian. I've said for a long time now, Adrian. Right. Yes, I fully 100% agree with the protests, but why on earth would Enoch and Daniel sell the club now? Now the stadium's fully up and running, because basically that stadium is a cash machine. It's a money. It's almost a money printing machine. That stadium, with the capacity it's got to make money. My goodness, I mean. It'd be the worst business decision ever made if you build all this structure up and then you sell it immediately, especially now as profit, when it's like raking in money like it is now.
Look, I get the argument, and I've said,
he's not going nowhere, Adrian. He's not going anywhere.
Well, Newcastle couldn't get rid of Mike Ashley, and their fans did a lot more by way of protest than Spurs fans did, right? And then Mike Ashley went when he sold that club for 300 million when he was ready to go.
Well, there we go. Yeah.
I mean, there's no way, but we're open for a cultural change, really, at the club towards the fans, right? Yeah. And we're hoping that they do the maximum spend. But we never know what the figure is to actually spend.
We're never going to find out.
No, we don't. If you get a new owner, you're allowed another 30 or 15 million, 50 million in a transition period when you buy a club and all that. But we don't know, right? We don't know the maths behind this. We don't have the exact figures. I mean, in one way, that's a good thing. You don't want the people selling players to us knowing how much we got to spend, right? So it's that has to all be carefully worked out, and we don't know the maximum spend. Now, we don't know. During this crossover period from financial fair play FFP or profit sustainability rules, PSR, all these acronyms, they drive you nuts, and over to SCR, which is squad cost ratio, which basically works out, it's quite simple. We made 550 mil, right? Now, football related expenditure comes off that 549 mil, right? You can spend as much money as you like on your infrastructure, your women's teams and all that. That doesn't affect you for squad cost ratio, anything on the infrastructure. But say, for example, 350 million is football related expenditure. Off that 5, then you've got 200 million left. You can spend 80 to 85% of that. So you could then spend 160, 165 million, right, without falling foul of the rules. If you sell players, you can spend more, obviously, right, to lower the cost. But we already had, before last year, because I went and got Solstice, right, from the financial report, we had 308 million owing, which has to be amortized over 5 years and paid over 5 years, right, under the rules. So if you took 60 odd million off of that, that would leave you with 240 mil there, right, say roughly, right? But then the players we brought in recently, how much of them have been paid for and how much goes on to that lump sum? That lump sum is what hinders your buying, that debt. That's what squad cost ratio. So as clubs can't go bust. That's just a simple analogy. I'm sure Sean Butler could do a better one. And Kieran Maguire's really the guy who lectures on Brighton fan, who lectures on football finance at Liverpool University.
Yeah, Sean put a show out yesterday actually where he went through potential investors, and that was I found it quite interesting.
Right, let's move on to this. Right, don't want to keep you up all night. Preview Spurs vs Man United. Right, here's our injury woes. Vicara, Odobert, Davis, John, Moore, VDVs, Romero, suspended Bennett. We're down to the bare bones. Any more injuries, we'd be down to the bone marrow, right?
I'm surprised.
I think we're out of bone marrow.
Yeah. What you told me you only get 200 characters for the banners, and I'm surprised you had enough characters to fit them all in.
Yeah, well, I can let you know how many characters it was if you're that interested. Right. You've got we're going to discuss Man United now. Where are my bits?
I have to say this is connected to the Man United game, and I have shouted we want Levy out, but at the time I think we were 2-0, 3-0 down at home to Man United. I must admit, and this is only me personally, I do feel a little bit uncomfortable singing "We Want Levy Out" if we're say 2-0 up against Man United in the game on Thursday.
Yeah,
I think
it's a cup game. The crowd would be up for it. It'd be the wrong.
I know they will. I know they will. So
a cup game,
really,
wrong way. Yeah, unless it's right at the end and we've lost. You know what I mean? Then it might be a song.
Yeah.
But,
so I felt a bit odd during the Southampton game when we were 4 or 5 up, and heard that sang. But that's only my personal opinion. And as I say, full respect to the guys that have organised all this sort of stuff, and hopefully it will have the right effect. But we really need. I was talking to someone today at work, actually, the atmosphere that we had against Arsenal when we beat them 3-0 in that game 3 or 4 years ago. I've never seen the atmosphere like that at Tottenham. That was the only time I've never heard the away fans sing once. They probably were singing, but I could not hear them. Most Tottenham games, no matter how big the atmosphere, you can hear the away fans, but I didn't hear the Arsenal fans one bit that night. And I think that's the sort of atmosphere we need to get on Thursday night.
Yeah. Just quickly, Adrian. Congratulations to Rico 66. He's got a C's ticket at Bramley Moor, the new Everton ground. Yeah, so well done, sir. Well done, sir.
Yeah, congratulations. And
and
hope you enjoy that your new stadium like we enjoy ours. So
yeah.
And the game Thursday. I mean, we can safely say that Forster's in goal and the centre backs will be Dragerson and Gray. But who's going to play at fullback? We've got a choice, haven't we? You Doggy, Porro, Spence.
I think Spence has to play, to be honest. If he's fit and if he can play. I think Destiny Udogie also limped off injured or something like that. We discussed it earlier after the last game, so he's not fully fit. I think he's pushed to his limits anyway, energy-wise. Like I think he's at the red zone. And then the same thing would be said of Pedro Porro, who we brought up earlier, has been playing very well. So, I mean, I think Jed Spence has to play either to replace Destiny Udogie, who might need a rest and might have an injury, or to just sort of play ahead of, Pedro Porro, who's just not played well, in recent games. So I think Jed Spence has to play. And that's kind of what I would probably say for the fullbacks. He either plays on the right or the left, and Destiny or Pedro have to sit on the bench.
Are we missing the fact that this might be an outside chance of Dorrington starting at fullback or centre back? Go on, Brad. Go on. This is what we're
I don't think so, based on the fact that if he'd have played a half against Southampton, and you cocould see a bit more of him, maybe. But I think anxious to see a lot of this. Although to be fair, he put Mikey Moore into one of those European games, didn't he? Because he said he trusted him. But it's such a big game. I really hope that Udogie is fit, because I think with Man United on Thursday and Liverpool on Sunday, I think you've got to have Spence in one game and Porro in the other, or the other way around. I would like to see Spence play. It's something that Man United won't be expecting effectively. But it's all based on Udogie. If Udogie's not fit, then Spence is probably going to play anyway at left back. So it's a bit of a shame.
I'll be honest. I'll be honest with you. I want us to go full strength for the United game. Personally, look, let's face it, we're not going to win the league. I think that ship sailed, right? I'd say stuff the league, just get us a cup or two, please. Please.
I said that virtually at the start of the season.
Please, just anything. No. I don't care, Adrian. I
get you want a cup, right? But we want to see progress and growth, even if we don't make the Champions League spots, because otherwise, all that shows you win a trophy and we've papered over cracks. It's not good enough. It's not good enough.
Winning a cup is.
I also will say, I think I've said the same thing in theory, but I think in reality, it is hard to play really well in a cup competition, but then simultaneously be tanking it in the league. Like that's just, it's hard for a team. Like you usually build momentum from winning games in the league, then carrying it on into the cup competitions. It's hard to sort of play poor in one and then play well in another. You don't usually see that.
I didn't mean like just like throw the league games. I meant like go full strength in the league, and when we rest, go full strength in the cup games. And for the leagues, if we got another big cup game coming up, then rest players.
Well, I think we're all hoping we'll have a fitter squad with more numbers come January. I mean, midfield freer, guys. Jack, for this game. Now, this is where we seem to have loads of options in midfield now. You've got, well, you won't with Gray in the back four, but you've got Bergvall, Maddison. Basuma could come back, couldn't he?
Ryan, you normally do take the points off of us at top.
Yeah.
To be honest, like I would sit Basuma as well. Like I'm just thinking about resting the guys that I just don't think are playing very well. I don't think Pedro Porro is playing very well, and I don't think Basuma personally is playing too well. I think we looked a lot better with Bergvall in the midfield. That being said, it's only against Southampton, but Basuma for me it's just too much of a liability. It feels like, you know, Sorry.
Is Bentancur eligible?
I asked that, but someone said he isn't. No, he's
not.
Still
Not until Forest away on the 20th.
Okay, so he play in Europe. I know that, but he can't. Okay, he can't play in that.
Yeah, so it's between kind of doing the same midfield he did last time, or playing Basuma there instead. I would just go for the same midfield as last time. I would. I think that has somehow a bit more fluidity to it. I think there are fewer mistakes in that midfield, and I don't know, just something about maybe Basuma for me. He makes me nervous. He just makes me nervous. Like I know what you mean. It's either a really loose touch when you just don't expect it to be, and then it ends up, you know, turning into a chance for the opposition, or it's a really poor pass, or it ends up being like a rogue tackle. Sometimes he steps out of position as well, like, you know, where he just leads huge gaps behind him. It's just various things with Basuma. Like sometimes he plays really well, and then he'll end up dropping a stinker like a second, you know, like I don't know. He's just he's a confusing player.
You're right. When he drives left or right and ends up over in a wing position, there's so much space in midfield for your opponents to break through, and they're a penalty area before you know it.
I really like him. I don't think he's cut out for this sort of system or this type of discipline and whatnot. I just don't think
when that ball went through to Casado at the Chelsea game, there were yet undiscovered tribes in the middle of Africa that knew Basuma was going to pull him down. You know, it was. We all looked, and it was just like, oh my word! Everyone saw it happening. We all could see it happening, and they got the penalty and got back in the match. I've just, I know what you mean, Jack. He's just, he'll do some really, really good things, and then something really stupid. And if you look at his record, you know, he did that, you know, the Luton game where we were well on top, and he gets his second booking for diving, you know, and I think he got sent off again in that game, in that season. The penalty he gave away against Chelsea, it's just unreliable. And it's sad to say, you know, with Sarr in the penalty against Chelsea, he's still young. Stupid penalty to give away, but he's still too young. But Basuma's 28, you know, he should know by now.
Yeah, exactly. You said you're going to see the real man. The last match he was crap, right?
Yeah, I think Ange will play him. I hate to say that. I think Ange will play him, but I'm not going to be upset if we sell him, whether it be in January or it won't be in January because we haven't got the resources at the moment, but in the summer, because he had a great start to the season under Ange Postecoglou. For the first few games that season, I couldn't imagine a team without him or Maddison, but then he just went off the boil.
So are we going Sarr and Bergvall to start, in which case Maddison could be rested for Liverpool and maybe Kulu?
No, I think you have to play Maddison, and then you rest Johnson, keep Johnson on the bench. Kulusevski plays on the right. I think we're a better team with Maddison.
Yeah.
The good thing is that Andrew said we've got a big game coming up on Thursday, so I think he knows that this is.
He's going to go as strong as he thinks he should. I think so, or not, it's different, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he'll go strong. I mean, he took Son off, didn't he, on Sunday? So I think Son's going to start. I think Johnson will be on the bench.
Yeah.
It wouldn't
probably
surprise.
go. It wouldn't surprise me if Basuma starts though. Can always hang.
Yeah, I'd
Basuma's
imagine.
playing for his career. I
Yeah,
mean, if you go in Sarr Basuma, which is a good pivot against Man United to have, if Basuma's on his game, if Basuma don't start shaping up, I mean, I think the fans will target him.
I think, and don't forget, Bergwijn got crammed, didn't he, at the end of the game against Southampton. So I personally, it's not who I'd pick, but I think Angel, it'll be more or less the same team. I think Basuma will come in for Bergwijn on that sort of number 6-ish role. Again, we don't know how the players pulled up in training and that sort of thing. We always seem to get players that get injured in training, don't we? So but yeah, I don't think the team will be that much different from the one that started against Southampton.
No.
Maybe you might have Porro instead of Spence and Basuma instead of Bergwijn. I think that may be what Angel will do.
This is a yellow card watch because it is a league game. The yellow cards count in the Carabao Cup.
Do they?
VDV's not playing. Yeah, he's on 4. So that's why Bentancur's suspended for the Carabao Cup game.
Oh, okay.
He can play in Europe. Kulusevski's on 3 now. Madison on 3. He does pick up some stupid yellow cards. Taking his shirt off and like dissent to the referee.
Even Johnson's
on. Comes back. He's going to pick up. Well, he needs to get, as far as my understanding was, we did talk about it a little bit on Sunday. You get 5 yellow cards in the second half of the season. I think you get a 2-match ban instead of the 1 match. So these have got to get past match 19. Well, VDV will probably make it. What are we on now? 14? How many matches we played? 14? Have a look. My brain's gone. It's getting near late in the show.
I was going to say the only one of Madison's 3 yellow cards that couldn't have been prevented is the one when we played Arsenal and he didn't do nothing and he got booked. You know, I mean, he had one for taking his shirt off, and the other one was pulling the Southampton player back when we were 5-0 up.
And it's quite noticeable that you pick up more yellow cards in midfield, don't you? Kulusevski, even Sarr's got 3.
We played 16 games. That's
16. So 3 games to go. So, well, I don't think VDV will be back. So you've got the League Cup game, then you've got the Liverpool game, and
the Forest game.
Bentancur, if he comes back, you don't want to get a yellow card against Forest or he miss another game. And we don't know if VDV will be back. Davies' injury is not supposed to be that severe. So he should be back. So he should be back within a match or 2, I reckon. So he might be back for Liverpool. You don't know.
The most surprising stat there is Romero won.
Amazing. Yeah.
There's also maybe a chance that Van de Ven could be available for this game for Man United, because I think he mentioned something about the Van de Ven injury being unrelated, right? Like he only just had like kind of a cramp. He's kind of just thinking of taking him off anyways. So he seemed to indicate that the Van de Ven injury wasn't that serious.
He does seem to pull a surprise, doesn't he, Ange, with the injuries, isn't he?
And I wouldn't put it past him to think, like, why would I play him for the Southampton game? Like, I think he would think, play him for the Man United game.
Can I just say thank you to my neighbour? He lives very, very close to where I live.
Oh, does he?
Big ups there. Thank you for subscribing.
Right. This kid's arrived today. I don't know if you watched the videos. I posted them in the Facebook groups, XCOM, WhatsApp group and all that. He's got something about him. Is he going to be any good? Who knows? But he takes players on. He's tricky. He bangs goals in from outside the box. He's the sort of winger you want, right? If he can do if he can reproduce what he's done in the K-League, voted their player of the season. I think he got 12 goals and X amount of assists. Can't remember how many games they play in their season.
So is his name going to be Hayok?
I think it's Yang.
Oh, okay. Because I'm only going by
Honey's, we call him Sonny. I think you would call him Yang or Yang.
I'm going by Heung Min Son. So Yang Min Hayok. I don't know.
I think it's Sonny is really the name that you call him, and I think it's in this case. I think it's Yang or Yang. I'm not sure how he pronounces it, but I think it's Yang.
So that's the yellow card watch. You had the December's fixtures. I did put January's up. So I think things ease a little bit, although there are no easy games. I mean, January, Saturday the 4th, we've got Newcastle at home. We smashed them last year, didn't we? Doesn't mean so we will this year. I mean, a lot of teams in that league look good on paper, and they've all been inconsistent as well.
Yeah.
Tamworth away, you can't win that up. You might as well burn the stadium to the ground and start again somewhere else.
It is an away game, though. It is an away game.
The Arsenal away, we're due a win at the Emirates. We are well overdue a win at the Emirates. We should have won last year 2-2.
Adrian,
a goal in open play, and that's
Adrian,
when Johnson made his debut.
We got replays at all this year in the FA Cup?
No, I think it goes.
I don't think so.
And there's no VAR.
Tamworth away is certainly going to go to extra time, isn't it?
And I think there's no VAR until the 5th round, and right, because a lot of these clubs, if you play lower league clubs, the expense of putting it in the grounds is too expensive for them, I think.
Yeah.
So I think that's the main reason for that. So then,
does it not go on where the game is? You know, because if you're a Premier League ground, you've got to have VAR for the league. But is it not like that? Because a lot of things, it depends whether VAR.
If some of these smaller clubs survive,
they'd
want to switch their games to. I mean, like.
Well,
fair play to them playing there like Marine and all that when we played Marine away when Alfie Devine scored in his debut as a 15-year-old. You know,
but that was COVID times. Well, that was COVID times, and so it made no difference whatsoever where that game was played.
Arsenal away on the 15th. Well, that's goodbye to dry January, isn't it? I suppose.
Well,
and then we got Everton away, but look, our best ever record is against Everton. I think 31 wins. The next best record, believe it or not, we've got, I think, is Man City 28 and then West Ham 27. So, so Everton away doesn't bother me. Hoffenheim doesn't bother me. They're right down that Europa League. Leicester at home, well, they're in sort of disarray as well. And then we get Elfsborg. So January's not that. Arsenal's a tough game, obviously, you know. And Newcastle could be at home and Everton away. But I just, I'm confident.
It's been worse, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm confident Angie's going to be here to the end of the season, whatever happens. And we'll see where we finish. And then, I think that win was so important, wasn't it, at 3 points against Southampton, really, for his tenure, I think.
Well, if we hadn't got 3 points, we just will give up, to be honest. Well, especially the way Southampton played. I mean, let's face it, like a championship team, the way Southampton played on Sunday, probably a League One side could have beat them.
Well, they come up too early, didn't they? Really, which happens a lot to teams that come in for the playoffs. Yeah, I think they come up too early. I feel sorry for the manager because someone made the point that he's only a few months ago he's on an open top bus being sort of celebrated as a hero. You know, so.
On the subject of January and the transfer window, this is what we've done so far. This is from Transfer Market. I'll never try and mislead people with facts. If they find some different, come show us, right? So what we have had spent, this is my fear about what we get and what we do, what business. We spent 272.10, right? That was last season. 120 million sales, came, went and all that. So the spend was 151 mil. This season so far, we spent 93.55 mil. So it's a net spend of 244, which is 123 a season, roughly. Yeah, which has roughly been our average since the stadium's over. If you take the total of what we spent here, the 272 and a 151, that's like 423 mil, right? We spent over 600 mil before Ainge come in. We spent over $1 billion on players. And we ain't won a trophy, it's not that averages out over 200 mil a season, right? But we have bought some. Before Ange come in, I thought all who you believe it was either 600 to 800, 685, which would have been before they come in on 29 players, Brad, on 29 players. Roden, Jack, what's the name from Leeds, the winger. Clark, whatever. We've bought some.
You average that out though, 29 players and 600 odd million. That's only about 20 million a player. You know what I mean? The average. It's not.
It's still about 100. It's still the total for the season. You think when you could have spent that better, you've not gone for these and spent it on a better quality player or oven-ready player, which we haven't done. And this is why the fan base is sort of at its wit's end. With leaving and all that, and there will be protests in the ground and all that.
Instead of spending 600 odd million on 29 players, surely we would have been better if they'd have used that like 600 and whatever million it was to buy 10 players at 65 mil pop. You know what I mean?
We've whether our recruitment, we bought players like Non-Belly, who I actually was quite pleased when we bought him because he looked a good.
Well, he was 65 million.
He was. But we haven't had the best of luck with injuries. I mean, Richarlison's always injured. Lo Celso was always injured.
Yeah.
But
he was always fit for Argentina, though.
Well, yeah.
Surprisingly.
Yeah. But our recruitment has been pretty piss poor over the last sort of
And you have the injuries. We can all go down a negative road and think, we're cursed, blah blah blah, and all that. But it's giving youngsters valuable experience.
Yeah,
it's giving youngsters, and they will be better for it. They will be better for it. I mean, Bergvale, I think, all right, I cramped up, but I've done all right in these games. I don't know if they have evaluation sheets at the club and go around, but if I was on the staff, it was presuming he weren't playing well, I'd be showing him his stats for each. I'd be showing the players the stats for each game, and saying, look, you've got to do better than this.
Well, they might do that. We don't know. They might do that. Sports science and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they do that, I mean, I don't know. I think you used to see Millie Jelinek up with the press with a laptop and all that. I don't know if he's collating all evidence from the player sports bras that have got, sensors in them and all that shit, So, I mean, I assume that's what's going on, unless they've got some other way of getting the stats.
Yeah, because I mean, they always have these sort of stats even when you're watching it on telly, don't you? They have, here's the heat map and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to keep you guys up all night. I'll see you in the back room after I say farewell. I want to thank everyone in the chat, and from all of us here at Spurs Diehards, we hope you have a great Christmas, happy, healthy, prosperous New Year as well. Season's greetings to all Spurs fans all over the world. Hope those of you, big up to all those that watch us on playback. Big up to all you that have stayed with us for nearly 2 hours. I think it's been a great show. And please subscribe to the channel. And Mark, can you put the things up for these two guys?
Oh my goodness, you're putting pressure. It takes me ages.
I've got a Christmas song out at the moment, and it's really well. It's currently the third most viewed song I've ever done. So it's just hit 300 views today. So and should be getting more. So please check it out. Link in the description, as they say. I always want to say.
Well,
link down there in the description.
Some love, please.
The link is upcoming. Hang on a minute. I'm not very good at this.
You can
tell. Well, if you're watching, just go onto YouTube and search for Blue Sofa Songs. It's down there under my name, and you'll find it.
You should combine that with the link with it, Brad. So
there you go. There's one right. I got to get out of here now. Hang on, I'll do Jack's as well.
You can even Google Blue. If you Google Blue Sofa Songs rocking, you'll find the Christmas song.
There you go.
So those of you in the chat,
some love, though.
And those of you watching on playback, get over to the Irish Hotspur.
Yes, definitely.
Good shows on the Irish Hotspur with firm opinions, which is what we want. Brad, get over to Blue Sofa Songs, and I'll just thank you all again. Wish you all a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We have got a show next Tuesday on Christmas Eve.
Yes, excellent.
Mark will probably having a drink during that show, though, because it's Christmas Eve. So
we are, aren't we? We having...
You don't know what might happen.
No. I'm certainly not getting naked or nothing. Let's get that. No.
So we'll do it for because there may be some of you out there who are on your own and you might want a bit of Christmas Eve company. I'm on my own, so I'll be with you. So we will do a show Tuesday. We got a show Friday, obviously, and Sunday. Our shows go every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday at 8:00.
Thank you for waffling, Adrian. The links are now in the chat.
Right, thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark,
for interrupting. Right.
And thank you, Jack, as well. For your continued support.
Yeah.
Good to be on with you again, Brad.
Thanks to our guests for coming on, Brad and Jack. Right. And I'll see you in the back room, and I'll play you out with this. No, I won't. Wrong one.
Oh, no, I was going to say, come on, Adrian.
Oh, and again.